So we're about 2 months removed from the Thomas Hertl trade. So Thomas Hertl going to the Vegas Golden Knights at the trade deadline. And the Sharks did great. And Mike Greer's not getting enough he's not getting enough credit for it. He really should be. So just to recap the trade, looking back at it, Vegas gets Hertl and San Jose's third for 2025, so next year's third. In exchange, San Jose gets Vegas's first next draft, 2025, and prospect David Edstrom. More on him in a second. San Jose retains 17%, so that's about 1.3, 1.4 million for the next 4 seasons after this one. Keep in mind the cap's coming up, and the cap's going to come up a little bit each year for the next few years, and I'll talk a bit about the money stuff in a second. But I remember when this trade happened, and I looked at the comment sections of a few posts. By the way, never look at the comment sections of anything ever, because you just see so many bad takes, especially when it comes to hockey. And I was just baffled. I'm like, this is a great trade for San Jose. How come no one's giving Mike Greer any credit here? And I've got some reasons why people were mad and how I think they're all super silly. But let's just break down the trade for a second here. So the draft picks. So San Jose basically upgrades their pick next year from a third rounder to a first rounder. Now with Vegas, who knows where they're going to fall next year in terms of the playoffs? I think they're kind of an unpredictable team right now. They could be as low as, I don't know, they can miss the playoffs maybe. And they could win the Stanley Cup next year. Who knows? Like they could be anywhere in there. So we'll have to wait and see. But you got to think that's something like 15th to 30th, let's say. Okay, so not bad. And I didn't know much about this prospect, David Edstrom. He's Swedish, if you can't tell from the name, and he's a center. And I didn't really think much of it at first. And then I looked up his stats just now, and he played in the SHL, so the Swedish Hockey League, playing with men. Keep in mind, this guy's only like 19. And he averaged about half a point per game. And I don't know much about the conversion from like European leagues to NHL leagues, but I gotta think if you're 19 and putting up that kind of production at the SHL level, I think that's gotta be pretty good, right? I don't know the conversion there, but I feel like that's, I don't know, he's what, at worst, bottom 6 forward for the Sharks someday? I have no clue. I really don't. Now, with the retention there, really not a big deal for the Sharks when you think about it. Like, they suck right now, and they're going to suck the next few years, and they're not really in any pressure to re-sign anyone, but they will be eventually. And that's where those last few seasons of the Hertl contract coming off the books helps out a lot, because they're going to have to re-sign Will Smith eventually, and they're going to have to re-sign Celebrini eventually. And who knows, maybe Eklund's production will go way up and then he gets a big pay raise. Who knows? But getting the Hertl contract off the books is big. So I just want to get into 3 reasons that I find people to be overreacting about this for some reason. It's such a good trade for San Jose, but I thought of 3 reasons, and I think they're all a little silly about why people are so upset about this. And I have them in order from least silly to most silly. So first of all, and this is really that silly, but people are upset because Thomas Hertl is a beloved player for the Sharks. I get it. He was one of my favorite players for the Sharks. He was there for so many great moments. That 4-goal game in his rookie season against the Rangers, that was just such a cool moment. He was there for some big playoff runs as well. No cups, but I totally get it, right? But this is how rebuilds go, man. This is just how it works. You look at Patrick Kane last year in Chicago. That guy deserves a statue in Chicago for just all of the just amazing things he's done for that team. And they shipped him off for marbles, right? They got like a 6th and a 7th. They got nothing for Kane. As Sharks fans, we should be very thankful we got a pretty sweet package for Hertl, I think. A first and a prospect that's looking to be, a guy at the NHL level at worst. So, yeah, this is just how rebuilds go. I get it. He was a really good player for the Sharks when he was here, but, we don't need good players right now. Like, this team's supposed to suck. They're supposed to suck for a couple more years. That's just how rebuilds go. Okay, I know it sucks, but that's just part of the process. And not many teams get the opportunity to move such a big contract off their books so they can eventually re-sign those younger guys. So I don't really think that's too silly of a reason to be upset. I totally get it, fellow Sharks fans, but that's just how rebuilds go. Now, the other two really silly reasons people were upset about this. The first one is that there's people that still see there's a Sharks and Vegas rivalry right now. Like, how could you trade Thomas Hertl to a rival of the Sharks? And it's like, look at me in the eyes and tell me in the year 2024, the Sharks and the Vegas Golden Knights have a rivalry. They don't. They don't at all. Vegas, arguably contenders going into the playoffs. San Jose, absolutely dead last. Like, they're in totally different spots right now. And Vegas should be a good team next year, and San Jose should be a bad team next year. And by the time you think the Sharks will be getting out of this rebuild, I mean, when you look at who's on Vegas, Vegas will probably be coming out of their time in contention. So I don't know if these guys will be rivals again anytime soon. I know they had a couple seasons there in the playoffs, and those are great series. The first one, Vegas won. The second one, honestly, one of the craziest first-round series I've ever seen. That was in 2019 with that big moment in Game 7 with the 5-minute major and the Barkley-Goudreau overtime winner. But there hasn't been much of a rivalry since then. Vegas has been good, and San Jose has been bad. Vegas won a Stanley Cup, and San Jose won a draft lottery. They're in totally different places now. So to say that there's a rivalry there right now and that they're helping a rival, they're really not. I mean, like, if San Jose made this trade with LA, another rival, it's the same thing. LA should be going for Stanley Cups right now. I think they kind of suck, but like, I think they're kind of, they're not going to win a cup, but they're in the playoff mix. But if San Jose made the same trade with them, it doesn't change that LA is a playoff team and San Jose is terrible, But the absolute silliest reason people are upset about this is because they just hate Vegas, because that's the trendy thing to do right now, is to hate Vegas. I'm not there. Okay, the cap circumvention thing, like, you've all heard this. Vancouver's done this. Chicago's done this. Tampa's done this. And if you're really upset about the cap circumvention stuff, Vegas lost in the first round. You won. You won the argument. Congratulations, okay? So it doesn't even matter. It's not like Hertl was very good for Vegas anyways. So there you go. You won the argument. It's just because you hate Vegas doesn't mean San Jose did a bad job in this. And you might be like, oh no, they helped out Vegas. That's how trades go. One team helps the other person, or one team helps the other team, and the other team helps the other team. That's trades. That's how trades in sports work. Usually at least one team will lose the trade, and I think it's a little too early to say if Vegas lost this trade. I know it hasn't looked great so far, but I think if you're going to judge the Vegas side of this trade, you really need to see a full healthy season from Hertl first. So I think maybe a year from now we'll be able to really tell if that's going to be a bad trade for Vegas. I have a feeling Hertl's production's probably going to go down, but we'll see, right? I mean, he wasn't healthy when he came into Vegas, so that playoff round, he had 1 goal in 7 games, I think. So, we'll have to wait and see with that. But right now, the Sharks are looking pretty good from this, I think. And who knows, that first can end up being pretty high. Even if it ends up being like around 30, still a first. And again, this David Edstrom kid, he sounds like he's pretty good, but don't say that Mike Greer messed up this trade because you hate Vegas. Okay, that's like, if San Jose made this trade with any other team, Mike Greer would look like a genius. Because he is. This is a great trade. And yeah, just because you hate Vegas doesn't make this a bad trade. Get over it. And you won the argument, the little argument you have in your own head about hating Vegas that no one else cares about, because they got eliminated in the first round. So who cares, right? They have the stacked roster, and they still lost to Dallas. So whoop-de-doo. Yeah, San Jose did good. We'll see how Vegas does, but yeah. One final thought that popped into my head just now, too, that I forgot to mention. at least Greer traded Hertl to a good team. I've mentioned on the podcast before, I know I haven't done a podcast in a million years now, but when Rob Blake traded Jonathan Quick, a future Hall of Famer, to Columbus, the worst team in the league at that point, so disrespectful. At least Greer gave Hertl the chance to go to a winning team, maybe win a cup. And I know it's Vegas, but hey, I would love to see Thomas Hertl win a cup someday, even if it's with Vegas. I know they're out of the playoffs right now, but it's the same thing with Pavelski in Dallas, right? At least Greer gave Hertl a chance to be on a contending team and maybe win a cup. And I think that says something as well. He could have shipped him to some team that's out of the playoffs, and he didn't do that. He sent him to a good team because I think he's got respect for Hertl. So I just wanted to throw that in too.